All right. Happy Thursday, everyone. Behind the basket, right back at you. More playoffs going on, some more NBA basketball. We have a new question of the week. So, backstage guys, the last 10 minutes of the show, make sure you hold us accountable so we can get to all of it. This should be a really fun one. We're going to ask y'all if you guys have any pre-game superstitions, rituals, or any other fun things that you do. Elizabeth told us a little bit about some of her Houston Rockets rituals last week's show. So if you guys got any fun fan traditions you guys got, put them in the comments. I've got some stuff that some of the NBA players do, which will be fun to look at later. Elizabeth, how are you doing tonight?
I'm not very good. The Rockets are playing right now, and it's just it's disappointing to say the least. I know everybody told me so, blah blah blah, but they are playing with no energy right now, and it's killing me. I've got the score playing here in the background so I can keep up with it, and they're down by 18 at the moment. So
Ugh.
hopefully, I don't know, something. I'll be okay if they just lose by like a few, but I don't want them to get destroyed. What about you? How have you been this week?
I'm doing great. Everything's been exciting for me. Hunter's back again. You know it. You know it. everything's doing really well, and the playoffs have continued to be amazing. I was originally sad that the Rockets knocked out my Thunder, but we still have a really good outlook for the future. Going to talk about a little bit of Thunder future things. In fact, we can just jump into it right now, starting with Billy Donovan will not get his contract extended as the Oklahoma City Thunder coach. He was there for 5 years. He got a lot of criticism when Westbrook was there, when they couldn't get out of the first round with Westbrook and Paul George. And then this season with Chris Paul, he was starting to get in, coach of the year talks, even being voted co-coach of the year by his fellow coaches. As we know, the full award, the NBA approved award went to Nick Nurse, well-deserved in my opinion. But Billy Donovan is now on the coaching market, and the understanding is that the Thunder are thinking about doing their first rebuild in franchise history and feel like Donovan deserves a chance to be on a more competitive team and maybe giving a young, newer coach a chance to develop with the Thunder. So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of head coaching positions still open. And now that Billy Donovan is on the table, he's kind of looking like one of the best available prospects.
Wouldn't it be so serendipitous if he ends up in Houston? Because I'm telling you, if we don't win this series or go on, I'm pretty sure Mike D'Antoni's out of there. He's on his last year. How sad am I right now? I'm not sad, okay? I'm not even getting started on the whiskey people right now.
Rockets are making me cry. We feel you, Jay. After Hermione gang.
I love that we have reoccurring fans, though. That's cool.
That's good stuff.
But yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool, but I don't think it would be helpful just because we've seen what he can do with Russell Westbrook, I know that the Pacers were also interested in Mike D'Antoni, but now it looks like they're going after Becky Hammon.
Becky Hammon, and they've also linked Chauncey Billups, who's another one of those, we touched a little bit on the Steve Nash hiring last week. Steve Nash will be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant sent out a statement today about how excited he is. Steve Nash was a player development coach, I guess you could say, but he was a player development guy for the Golden State Warriors while Kevin Durant was there. Very influential part of why he got that Brooklyn job. And there's a lot of coaches, that start out as high IQ NBA point guards who then get a chance at becoming a coach. Steve Nash, Kidd, Mark Jackson, Derek Fisher, And now people are thinking Chauncey Billups. He's been, I think with ESPN, he's been an analyst for a number of years. He's a finals MVP. He's a very good player. So his name's been thrown around with the Pacers as well. But I'll say it again. I love what Becky Hammon brings to the table. I think she should get a head coaching job somewhere. I'd love if she came to Oklahoma, to be completely honest. But
yeah.
Touching on your point, I don't think Houston goes for Donovan. It'll be interesting to see. Do you know who would you like if D'Antoni gets outed after this season?
You know, I actually don't want him to go. I know that Jason thinks that the small ball won't work and everything, and that's fine, but I like him as a coach. If they get rid of him, you know, I honestly don't even know. There's so many people available, but I haven't really like looked into it or anything, you know?
Right.
Because I haven't been counting on them losing.
Shout out to Doris Burke. We think Doris Burke should be a coach. I'm for that.
Oh, I don't know about a coach, but she is the first female sports commentator in the finals this year. So that's a first for her, for women. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Doris Burke's a trailblazer. I admire her work a lot. She's worked finals. She's been the sideline reporter for a number of years, but it's very cool to be able to give her a chance to, you know, be behind the desk. She knows her stuff. She's a student of the game. So, hey, Doris Burke might have some coaching chops in her. I know a lot of these analysts were former coaches, you know, both Van Gundy's, Mark Jackson. We've got a lot of former players. There's a very large coaching pool. It's just not a lot of people have coaching experience. I think that's kind of the big thing right now. So who gets the next one?
Who's joining ESPN as an analyst? It's Vince Carter.
Vince Carter. That's cool. We'll see how he does.
I think that's
I have my reservations because you get people like Paul Pierce who are just, you know, they just say things that just don't make sense. Vince Carter lives forever. Yeah. So I hope he does really well. There are some former players who become very good analysts. I think Chauncey Billups is actually one of them, but there's some that they were good players, but they just say, as much as I love Charles Barkley, he's another one of them, which is some of the things he says just make your head spin.
I actually had on a Barkley jersey earlier, but they were playing so bad, I figured I maybe threw off the mojo, so I went and switched to my Lucky jersey. But that's my favorite. Well, one of my favorite jerseys is the Rockets Barkley jersey. It's reversible. It's awesome. Okay, well, when you were talking about the Thunder rebuilding, do you think that they are going to trade CP3?
So it's hard to say. So we're moving on from Billy Donovan, which, you know, he's kind of we've had terrible success in the playoffs. We haven't made it out of the first round since Kevin Durant left, but he at least has playoff experience. We can't be asking too much from a lot of the coaches that are on the market. Maybe Nate McMillan, he's a guy with coaching experience. Kenny Atkinson, maybe, but they might be linked to other jobs. And there's been a lot of Chris Paul to Milwaukee rumors. The problem being, there was rumors about that before this season when everyone was counting the Thunder out. They said, oh, they should just blow it up. They should trade CP3 for more picks. They shouldn't even try. But now it's Milwaukee's kind of at a crossroads where Giannis, you know, he's not demanding a trade, but he's going to become a free agent after this next season. And if you're Milwaukee, you got to do whatever it takes to make Giannis happy. And in my mind, if he doesn't win a championship in Milwaukee, he should walk, you know?
Yeah.
I saw a graphic today that said he's following the same career trajectory as LeBron James. Won their first MVP at the same age, made it to their first Eastern Conference Finals at the same age, and then lost in the Eastern Conference semis the next year. That's all by Miami Heat conspiracy theorists who think that every high free agent is going to their team. But Giannis is young. He's in his prime. This is when he should get a ring. And if Milwaukee can't make it happen for them this next year, I think he's out.
I read that they're going to offer him the Supermax deal. So as far as I'm concerned, they have no business trading Giannis. I don't know what better deal they think they're gonna get, but I mean a probable MVP again, second time. I think that they need to build around him, but he did say he's not gonna request a trade. So, I mean, I don't know. I know that the Heat, the Warriors, the Raptors, the Mavs, and the Clips are all lining up to make offers. So I guess it would depend on what they're offering, who they're offering, you know?
Yeah, I don't think anyone makes a trade because, simply put, I don't think anyone has enough to offer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a single player that's on the block that would have enough value to get Giannis. Because, you could offer LeBron or Paul George, but first of all, no one's going to trade LeBron. That's never going to happen. Paul George has injury problems and he's older. Giannis is only like 25. You want him for these next 5 years. Wouldn't surprise me if OKC trades CP3. Giannis should 100% leave if Milwaukee can't win a title. Miami and Toronto are good places for him. Yeah, so CP3 has a huge contract, but I think he would play so well with Giannis and Chris Middleton. So if they can pull that off, that would definitely make them title favorites and would give them a chance to keep Giannis. That's part of what the Supermax is for, is to try to get him to stay. But he could, still test free agency before signing.
Well, they moved the free agency date, I believe, to November 18th. That's when that's the date that they're discussing right now, at least. I don't know if it's definite, but yeah. So I guess we'll see pretty soon. It's not that far off.
Yeah, that'll come up quickly. What do you think? Do you think Giannis stays, or what team do you think he should join if Milwaukee doesn't win a title next season?
I'd like to see him with Jimmy Butler. I think that would be very interesting. With just how Butler's playing right now, I think that would be a very cool matchup. But I think he should stay. I think that they can build around him. I mean, they have a great team already. It might just be adding CP3, adding one other player, or just somebody who brings a different dynamic to the group. But I mean, they're a great team. They're just missing something, So
Absolutely.
if I were Giannis, I'd stay. But okay. So the Heat made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and got rid of the Bucks. So both of us were wrong on our prediction.
Yeah, I had Bucks as championship favorites, and part of it, Giannis did end up getting hurt when he was really starting to pick up his game. The game that he really tweaked his ankle, he scored like 18 points in 10 minutes. But man, you just got to hand it to Miami. They've been underdogs all season, you could say. They're good, but people are like, how good are they really? And I think that's just the story of Jimmy Butler's life. He's always, in all-star talks, but he doesn't get a whole lot more hype. But if you look at his track record, he goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves and gives them their first playoff appearance in who knows how long. And for who knows how long after that. Goes to Philly. They have some good playoff success. He has a very good clutch performance in Philly. And now he goes to the Heat, and they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think people are sleeping on Jimmy Butler as a player.
For sure. And they've got all these younger players, too, and people that they kind of developed on the team. Duncan Robinson. And what's your favorite rookie?
Tyler Hero. I really like Tyler Hero.
Yeah. They really did just build this awesome team. I never in a million years would have thought we'd be talking about the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's just not on my radar even.
Same. They're one of those teams that are good and they play good team defense, but besides Jimmy Butler, like there's not really any names that stick out to you like they do on other teams. And you got to give him props. Goran Dragic's playing amazing. Bam Adebayo with his first All-Star appearance, and he's a phenomenal two-way player. But just they're a good team that just doesn't have the star power we're used to in these conference finals teams.
You know, in their games, it's not all just Jimmy Butler going off. I mean, he had that 140-point game, you know, but I mean, that's not what it is. It is teamwork. They're making a team effort. And yeah, it's going to be fun to see who they're going to play. You know, it's going to come down to Boston or Toronto. And I think either series is going to be an awesome series.
I agree. Toronto has that same kind of very good team defense and just kind of attack you from all ends. Celtics too. You know, these three Eastern teams, I feel like, are built in similar ways where they're really balanced and rely on their defense to really punish you. But wow, Celtics and Raptors, they went to double overtime in Game 6, I believe. And now we're down to a Game 7. What's your prediction? Who comes out on top there?
So I hear that Boston's favored, and I think I'm going to have to agree with that. I would like for the Raptors to win it because I think that they've done such a good job of proving themselves to be worthy of it without Kawhi and everything. But I do think Boston's going to take it. That's tomorrow night, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. I think that Boston will take it. They've just been playing, I think, more consistently better. You know, the Raptors, I think they had the 2 games where they were playing kind of rough and stuff, and we thought that they were going to get swept, right? Isn't that what happened?
Well, they went down 2 games and they barely squeaked out that third win. Yeah. You know, it was kind of a freak win, but it gave them momentum. If OG doesn't hit that buzzer beater, I think Raptors get swept. Because it is just so mentally debilitating to be down 3 games in a series. But after that win, they really turned it on and they've pushed it to Game 7. But it's going to come close, you know. Yeah. They've both had very key players have very poor performances. Raptors have Pascal Siakam, who's kind of been a no-show on offense all playoffs. And Kemba Walker, he only scored 5 points in a double overtime game. That's not what you want to see from your starting point guard.
Right.
So it'll come down to how many people step up. And while I can totally see the Celtics winning, what the Raptors have that they don't is playoff experience from that championship run. Kyle Lowry has plenty of playoff experience from his Toronto years. So, I mean, it'll definitely come down to who wants it more, but I'm going to give Toronto the edge for this one just because of that experience.
Let's see. Okay, so we're both wrong about those predictions too, because we both said Boston. You said Boston in 6, Boston in 5 for me. So we're both wrong about that.
And I'm all for Kemba Walker having a really good postseason. I've really enjoyed him as a player ever since college. Cardiac Kemba from UConn. And it was just horrible seeing him waste away in Charlotte. So I love to see the success he's having. I hope he has a breakout game. But, you know, I'm going to put my money where the experience is, and that's Toronto.
All right. Okay. Now, to the Rockets and the Lakers.
How much are they down by now?
I think that they are down by 19. And they have 10 minutes left in the 4th. So unless we see a freak James Harden performance in the next 10 minutes, I think they're going to lose this one. Are you serious with the banner? Y'all talk about me being biased. Y'all are anti-Rockets. All of you.
They're just pushing your buttons, but it's true. Rockets are not having a good time. They took that game 1. But, man, Lakers really figured out how to play them right, and it's really hard to handle LeBron James and Anthony Davis. PJ Tucker's been doing as well as he can, as far as I know, especially in that game 1. You know, no hope in sight for Rockets. You know, I'm going to have to say I think Lakers are going to finish this one out in 5. Westbrook has not looked super great this series. No. Harden had some good games, but today, last I checked, he was 1 for 7. I can't imagine he's doing much better.
They are completely shutting down their 3-point shooting. You know, it makes you question if like the Lakers defense is really that good or if the Rockets offense is just questionable or something, like they are shutting them down completely on the three. And there's so many messy turnovers tonight. I mean, just one after the other. I was looking down and like looking over everything we're going to talk about, and I'd look up and there's another turnover. Every single time I looked up, I was like, oh my God. But also, do you know about the drama going on in the bubble right now?
Is this the Daniel House Jr. drama?
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
did hear.
I like Daniel House Jr., but he did not play in game 3, and it said for personal reasons. And then they said quietly that Tyson Chandler was also out for personal reasons.
Didn't hear about Chandler. Bannerman's having fun tonight.
Yeah, they are. Well, so apparently what happened is a COVID tester in the bubble went up to one of their bedrooms and broke protocol, basically. Now, it's weird because at first it was all Daniel House. Everybody was saying everything about Daniel House. And then they interviewed the girl, and she said she went up there to see Chandler, and he agreed to it. He said, yeah, she came to see me and a different player, but they didn't name the other player, and they have no proof that Daniel House saw her. The only thing that they have is that at a certain point in the night, his door opened and closed. That's all that they have. So he's been out. I mean, more than likely will be suspended from the rest of the series if they can prove it, I guess. But I think it's a little messed up that they have no real proof. And she specifically said, I didn't go see him. I didn't see House. So me, of course, I think it's a big old conspiracy theory, but that's just me. I think they're trying to get the Rockets out.
Well, I don't think missing out on House is going to move the needle too badly. You really need Harden and Westbrook to carry the team through this series.
No,
I didn't realize that
a role player. He is absolutely a role player. He's one of our better three-point shooters. He's one of the only guys that can guard LeBron pretty well. Tinfoil. Whatever, guys. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, though. I do think it made a huge difference, though, because we ended up having to put Rivers and McLemore in more, and their defense is questionable, like big time. And House was better. He was starting for us for a while. So I think that they definitely missed having him there.
I believe it
made a difference for sure.
I agree. He's definitely a good guy to have. I didn't realize that this whole drama was all in the bubble. I thought maybe he brought someone in from out of the bubble, which would make more sense to why he would get suspended. But I'm not going to inject myself into the NBA protocol.
Well, there's other rumors that Chandler was trying to cover for him and say, no, I'm the one that had her, so that House could play. Because
Chandler's not playing anyways. He's too tall for the Rockets.
Yeah, he shot those 2 free throw shots that he missed in the Oklahoma series. And other than that, he hasn't been on the court for playoffs at all in bubble. So I think maybe he was trying to take cover for him. I don't know. But I'm hoping that it's a 6 series game and not 5. But I'm definitely thinking that maybe I was wrong. Maybe the Lakers are going to take it. But I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I think Lakers move on, and I have a good feeling that it's going to be an LA versus LA Western Conference Finals, which is kind of what everyone predicted in the preseason. On paper, it was just the no-brainer guess. And we had some really good first-round games, so maybe we were thinking, the Nuggets are catching fire. Maybe they can do some stuff, or Luka was pulling some magic. Maybe he can pull an upset. But Kawhi looks unstoppable right now. This is playoff Kawhi. This is the player that people will talk about when they say who's the best player in the league. It's this playoff Kawhi. And I think Denver's won 1 game of the series.
I'm actually not sure. Let me check that. I thought that they had. Okay, yeah, it's 3-1.
Okay, I think they also take it in 5. I think Murray might have even been out. I don't know. Denver's had some injury stuff, and they just can't handle the Clippers' firepower right now. I think that the Jazz played better than they should have, which is the only reason they gave the Nuggets as much trouble as they did. And I just don't think they match up well. I don't think they have enough to take them over the top.
Yeah. Well, so if we do see a Clippers versus Lakers, what do you think about that? Who do you think would take that?
Oh, it's so hard to say. You can never count out playoff LeBron from doing what he does, even though he's 35. He's doing great. And Anthony Davis is probably the best teammate he's had in a current standpoint, as far as teammates. Anthony Davis is, amazing. So that's two guys you have to try to lock down, but they have two of the best defenders in the league in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And then they have two of the best bench players in history, Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. I think Clippers have too much for the Lakers to handle. I think Clippers take it. I think I want it to go to sevens. Game sevens are always so much more fun. I think Lakers have it in them. So I'm going to say Clippers in 7.
I agree, Clips, but that right there is biased because I hate the Lakers and I like the Clippers. They're my second team. But no, I agree with everything you said, though. I think Kawhi is an amazing, he's the best two-way player in the league. He is. I think that they have a deeper team than what the Lakers have. Now, the Lakers, they have a couple players that have just all of a sudden, Rondo Rajon, he's just like scoring points like crazy and like making threes. And that wasn't ever his thing before. But he's playing really well. And then Danny Green is starting to score. The first series, everybody was talking all kinds of trash about him because he wasn't making anything, but he's scoring against the Rockets right now. He's getting like every shot that he wants to take, and he's playing defense pretty well. I do think Clips though, and I think Clips probably in 6, but I'd like to see 7.
Yeah, I just don't see how, if Kawhi continues his current play, I don't see how the Lakers are going to slow him down. LeBron probably matches up against him the best, body for body, but LeBron is going to conserve his energy more for offense, and they're probably going to hide him somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know. It's going to be tough because if LeBron's the best body you have out there for Kawhi and Paul George, one of them's going to punish you. Paul George has been a little spotty, but he had another 30-point game against Denver. So if he's hitting his shots, that's trouble. And then you bring in Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell, and they're going to destroy whoever's bench you put at them. So if the Lakers are sitting Anthony Davis, I think that Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell are just going to go to town, and they're each going to drop 20 points off the bench. And that's, I think, going to be what really swings it in the Clippers' direction.
Yeah. I think it's definitely going to be fun to watch. Like you said, it has been the number one matchup that everybody wanted to see at Western Conference Finals. So I'll be excited to see it for sure.
It's going to get a lot of viewers. It's going to be very hype. And I think that, they're two very good teams. I hope it's competitive. I hope one team just doesn't totally mow down the other, but every single regular season matchup they've had has been pretty hype. So this should be a very, very good series.
The Rockets should have never gotten Capella. That was their downfall. Worst thing the Rockets did was get rid of Capella.
Well, Capella's been hurt. That's the only thing I would say in favor. I do think that, especially in this game, the rebounding differential is pretty awful. The Lakers are so much bigger. They're getting a lot more chances.
But this game's bad. Last time I checked, they had like 15 rebounds. Let me see. Actually, I can look right now and see what they're. Okay. Where is it? They have 22 to their 46. So
that's not good. And that's something Capella would help him out with. But Capella didn't play after the Rockets trade. He just rode out injury. Part of it, I think, was because he got traded to Atlanta, who have a horrible team, so they're tanking for picks.
He had a heel, something on his heel that kept flaring up because he sat a couple games here and there before they ended up trading him. And then I think he played one, and then the next, when he got traded, he was injured again. So something with his foot that kept messing with him. So I did love Capella. I loved him on the team. I loved his energy. Him and James Harden have a really good friendship and everything. But I don't know. I'm not happy that. I mean, I'm not mad that they went small ball. I'm okay with it. I just think that it needs to be executed better. I think that it's totally possible to win with small ball. We saw the Warriors do it. You know, it's possible. It's just needs to be done better. So.
And one thing I think I'm noticing now, now that we're talking about Clint Capella, and something I think needs to be taken into consideration with small ball is Harden had pretty good chemistry on the court with Capella running the pick and roll. So, people give Harden a lot of flack for just kind of ISO dribbling, top of the key, step back three, which he's good at, but it's lame to watch. And if he's not hitting his threes, he's sinking his entire team. But when he had a big body like Capella, who could set just a monster screen to get him open and then roll to the basket, you have so many more options. And I think without a player like that on the team, they're just really limited to what they're able to do on offense. And I think that's hurting them a little bit.
Well, see, they initially, I mean, when Westbrook got there, that was his position, and not like he wasn't playing center or anything, but that was his job to drive and make those points. And Harden, you said that if he's not making his three, he sinks the team. In this past season, because everybody started to double team him, he got really good at passing that ball in fancy, tricky ways. That's something that he got better at this year. And I think teams are just figuring out what they're doing, and I think that they're coming up with better defense. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Houston does from here if they don't have D'Antoni, because they'll probably take a different approach.
And I don't know what that would mean for Harden, because Harden and D'Antoni have a really good relationship too, mostly because D'Antoni lets Harden do whatever he wants. So I don't know what we're looking at if he's gone. But I guess we'll see. So with the Clippers and the Nuggets, though, we haven't pretty much decided that the Clips are taking that, right?
Yeah, I think Clips in 5.
So what do you think about the Nuggets this offseason?
So the Nuggets are an interesting team in that, they're a playoff team past 2 years. They're not good enough to make it over the hump, but they're still really young. Jamal Murray and Jokic are still entering their prime. I think they both can still get better.
Right.
So I think they're in a really good position. Michael Porter Jr. has had some really good performances in the bubble. So with them, and they've got some other good young players on that team whose names I just can't remember right now. But even with that trio right there, they're in a really good spot for the future, I think. So I wouldn't be too worried, because I think they haven't reached their ceiling as a team yet.
Right. Did you see Michael Porter Jr.'s comments about kind of calling out the coach after yesterday's game? Was it yesterday or the day before?
I didn't. I do not know what he said. Or I vaguely remember him saying something, but I don't remember a word he said.
So basically he was saying that they have to get the ball into other people's hands, saying that they're only using the Joker and Murray. And he said, they're great players. Of course, they should be played and everything. But, I went that whole half quarter without touching the ball. And he said it in a press conference. So a lot of people had something to say about that, because they said, that's locker room stuff. You talk to your coach about that in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think Damian Lillard said it was wrong. A couple people called him out on it. But, it's not wrong. If you keep doing the same thing, you can't expect different results. So it could have been done at a better time, but I don't think he was wrong to say it.
I agree. I think his timing might have been wrong, and he's still, a young rookie player. He's
Yeah.
still kind of learning the unspoken rules of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And in Denver's defense, that's kind of been their strategy because they have a lot of, at least like if you take their starters, their bench is a little different. But that's kind of the only two offensive guys they have that start. You got Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, and they kind of run this really good two-man game where Murray does some dribbling, they do some handoffs, some pick and rolls, and then Jokic has just these masterful passes to cutters, and that's who the other people are. They have defensive-minded cutters and three-point guys who just kind of they'll cut to the basket and then flare out to the three-point line, and they just kind of rinse and repeat that two-man game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that's because they haven't had a reliable third option until Porter Jr. kind of broke out in the bubble. And now they're like, okay, how do we incorporate him more? I think they'll do a better job of that next season. Their coach is very good as far as I'm concerned. And he probably just wasn't prepared for such a big jump to incorporate Porter Jr. in, especially in a playoff game. So next season, I expect their approach to be a little different.
I do just want to comment that the Rockets went on a 15-2 run just now, and they're only down by 10 points now.
Okay, so keep an eye on that.
I'm glad that it's not like, losing by 20-something points blowout or anything.
Yeah. More respectable at the least.
You never know. They might turn it into an OT game. I put on my lucky jersey, and my cat's running around here with hers on. I can definitely show you guys if you want to see.
Those rituals.
She's the coolest fat cat ever.
Well, when we get to that, our 50-minute mark of the show, and we start going into those fan rituals, we'll bring the cat up. All right, let's see what else we got here.
Well, so I actually did some research on the creation of basketball. Have you ever looked it up, or do you know anything about it?
I've looked at some things here and there. I've looked at stuff with James Naismith and things, but I don't really know a lot of the specifics of the original rules and those things.
Okay. He created the game in 1891, which I had no idea it was that old. That's crazy. And when they first started the game, they were playing with peach baskets to hold peaches in. And they'd shoot it and they had it attached to a chain, and they'd pull the chain and tip it over and dump the ball back out there. I'm bleeding. That's weird. Sorry. They'd play with a soccer ball. And then it got really popular. He played it that one time, and I think some people heard about it, and all of a sudden they had people writing him to get the rules for it. And so it started getting played at YMCAs and stuff like that. And it got so popular that the YMCAs that once had 50, 60 people in there at a time were suddenly being monopolized by 10 to 18 people who were just playing basketball, and they wouldn't let anybody come into their area because they're playing a game and stuff. So it actually got banned from the YMCA.
Wow.
And I thought that was just so cool. And that was actually when they started up the Basketball Association. It wasn't called that. I think it was the National Basketball Committee at the time. But they started that so that they could go ahead and get gyms and places for them to play in like that. But one other cool thing was that for a long time, I think 7 years or something, they didn't really have a rule on how many people played at one time. So at one point, there were 9 people on each team playing against the other 9 people. And I was thinking, man, in today's, with the players they have now, can you imagine 9 people per team on the court? That would just be wild. They'd have to make the court bigger or something. Because I don't know how that they would manage to do that, but it would be fun to watch.
That'd be a very interesting way to play if you had an offensive and a defensive team. Mm-hmm. You've got 5 on one end, and they just play defense every possession, and then kick it out to the offense. I don't think it'd be as fun because fast breaks are very cool, but
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's very
It
interesting.
was a long time before they actually got the basket, the open so that it could just fall through. And they would play up against balconies and stuff. And the backboard got created because people would stand on the balconies and watch them play and try to like hit the ball when they were scoring and stuff. So they're like, you got to put up a screen or something so that they can't touch it. The spectators can't get involved. So then they ended up doing wood first, and then I think a couple years later they approved the glass and stuff. But it's actually the only American-made sport. I think that's pretty cool.
It's that comes with a little bit of an asterisk because I believe the creator of basketball, he's from Canada.
But yes, he is, but it was made in America.
It was made in America, and I believe he was like I don't know if he was a student or a professor. I believe it was University of Kansas, I want to say.
Maybe Pennsylvania?
Something like that. Yeah. And so it was created in America, and 29 out of the 30 NBA teams are in America. And that's very cool to see how far the game of basketball has come since then. Get out of here, Canada.
Is Shane watching?
He might be. If he is, he's about to comment.
Yeah. But no, I really thought it was cool to learn about all of that. I'm definitely going to keep learning more about it, just like when they put in certain rules and stuff like that and why. Did I forget about baseball? I'm just going off what the
that are American,
fully American sport.
All right. Well, we'll have to have our other sports guys look into the history of their sports because I know things like soccer, I think, originated in England, I believe is where it started. We'll see. I know baseball, I think, got popular first in places like Cuba. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see if it really started there or not. Baseball was based off a game called Rounders from England.
Our baseball guy. Okay.
Oh, we're having a lot of history lessons, but this is cool. We'll make this a more regular thing, get a little bit more into how basketball has developed over the years, get our inner Kobe, just eating up the rule books and all the history and stuff. I've got another thing before we head on to our sports rituals and things. The all defensive teams were announced. Touch on those a little bit.
Right.
Giannis is the defensive player of the year, which was pretty expected. There's not really a lot of people arguing against that. The all defensive first team, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, Rudy Gobert, and Marcus Smart. How do you feel about those 5 players there?
I think they're all great players. I just have one opinion about all of those choices, and y'all aren't going to like it because you're going to say it's biased. But PJ Tucker got snubbed bad. This is the second year in a row that he should have been on at least second team. I cannot believe he didn't even get any votes. That's just blows my mind. But I mean, I'm a Rockets fan, so I watch their games closer than anything. And so I mean, yeah, I guess it is a little biased, but I think he should have gotten that. But I mean, yeah, I think they're all great players. I think they're all very deserving of it. Oh,
yeah,
well, right now.
Are the Rockets choking again?
No, so the Lakers.
Oh, the Lakers. I don't have the thing up. I'm looking at the I was about to read the second team names here so we can see who's on here. It's Brook Lopez, who I'm actually really glad that he got a nod here. He is definitely a very key part of the Bucks defense. Kawhi Leonard made second team, not first team, which I think is fair because he took on a more offensive load. So his defensive numbers slipped a little bit. Bam Adebayo, again, well-deserved. And then Eric Bledsoe and Patrick Beverley. If I had to, I think the first and second teams are right on the money, except I have my reservations about these guards. Marcus Smart, Patrick Beverley, and Eric Bledsoe. They're all very similar, and I just don't know, their defensive stats well enough to know if they're better than a PJ Tucker, for example. I totally on board with a PJ Tucker second team. I think what he's doing, he's kind of like this
Pitbull.
This like I would call him like a bootleg Draymond Green, where he's like an undersized center. He's a much better shooter than Draymond, but Draymond is a much better passer and a slightly better rebounder. But Draymond Green won Defensive Player of the Year for his role,
right?
And PJ Tucker's kind of doing a very similar thing. And Houston they were at one point, I think they're second now, but during this Lakers series, but they were the best defense in the playoffs. And I think you got to attribute that to PJ Tucker. So I would probably take out Bledsoe or Beverly. Of course, I guess you need the guards, so I don't really know how you would do that. But other players receiving votes, I don't see him on here. Chris Dunn had the most votes out of guards. Oh, PJ Tucker had the most votes out of the forwards that didn't make it, beating out Jimmy Butler by 1 point.
How many votes did he have? Does it say?
It says 29 total points. They have points for first team and second team votes. First team is 2 points. Second team is 1 point. So he had a, good 20-ish votes or so. But his 29 was the most among forwards, and he would have had to beat Bam's 61.
Oh, okay. See, I read that he didn't get any votes. That's why I was so mad about it. But that's good that at least somebody saw it. But he made a statement saying, as long as Daryl Morey and Tillman see it, the owner and the general manager, as long as they see it, he said, that's all I'm worried about. And Patrick Beverly, I love Patrick Beverly. I really do. But do I think he's better than? Well, I guess he's a guard though. It's not a forward. I don't know. I definitely think that next year we better see PJ Tucker on that list. Brooke Lopez, he did a really good job. This year, just in the bubble specifically. I remember watching him specifically and being like, wow, he's really good defensively. So that's cool that he made it.
He is such an interesting player because I don't know how many people remember his Brooklyn Nets days. He was an all-star. He was one of the most dominant inside scorers in the league. And then when he moved to first the Lakers and now the Bucks, they just totally transformed him into a 3-and-D center. And they call him Splash Mountain now. He's turned into a really good shooter. But his inside presence and IQ is the same. So like he just knows his way around the paint, and that's really benefited him. And I think part of his defensive stats probably it comes from playing long minutes alongside Giannis, because I know Robin Lopez, those three were like top 5 in paint protection or something. So I think Giannis kind of bumped him up a bit. But his effort's there, and you can definitely tell he's affecting the defense.
Yeah, he was. I remember that Bucks Rockets game, like towards right before playoffs and everything. Or maybe it was like right at the beginning of the whole bubble. I'm not sure when they played, but he was destroying them in the paint. It was bad. It was real bad. But okay, the game is over. The Rockets only lost by 10.
Well, better than 20.
Lost, but better than 20-something, yes.
Rockets game is over. We'll see if it goes to 5 or 6. Who you guys got winning tomorrow? Game 7, Boston or Toronto? Martin, we talked about that earlier. Elizabeth thinks that the Celtics are going to win. I put my money on Toronto just because they have more playoff experience. But I'm not going to be at all surprised if Celtics win.
Martin's a Boston fan.
Yeah, and I can't be too mad. Boston fans, they get a lot of hate. Boston's a very enthusiastic city, to say the least, about their sports teams. They're very in-your-face sports fans. But I really like Tatum, Brown, Hayward, Kemba, Tice. Their whole starting 5 are just cool guys. They're good players. So, like, as far as the team goes, I wouldn't mind seeing them go into the Eastern Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals.
It'd be cool to get them to go to the finals, because then that would mean that Hayward would be back. remember when he got injured, that was the whole thing. They're like, only if they make it to the finals. And we're all kind of like, okay, so he probably won't be back this season. But, I mean, there's a chance now. So.
That would be cool. And if he's in shape, if he's ready to go, that will be a huge addition for them, especially because do we think that one of these Eastern teams can beat an LA team in the finals?
Oh, that's a whole. Okay, let's see. See, I feel like I don't have enough to say about the Heat because, like I said, they were under my radar. I haven't, like even when they did play, I'd be like, oh, okay, and watch for a little bit, but it wasn't like I was looking at them as competitors in the future, like for going for the title. I definitely didn't think that. So I don't have enough to say about them, but I mean, I think I'm thinking about the matchups. Hold on. What do you think?
I'm thinking about matchups as well. I think that the Heat have a chance against the Lakers simply because I think that their role players make more of an impact in scoring. Mm-hmm. And if Butler and Adebayo can just focus so hard on stopping LeBron and Anthony Davis, I think they have a chance just because, guys like Hero, Robinson, Dragic can then take control of the offense while Butler and Bam just work their tails off on defense. I don't know if Raptors and Celtics have really anyone that can stop those guys.
What and if then I also the Raptors versus Kawhi?
That would be such a wild. Celtics Lakers would be another crazy matchup. The throwback. This playoff is kind of a Kobe tribute to a lot of teams, LA especially. So there's some opportunity for some really cool finals narratives.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Great show, guys. I see Whiskey Hour behind the basket debate. Wait until the series is over because I get too emotional right now. I can't.
Okay, we've got less than 8 minutes left. We're going to go to some player and fan rituals. I didn't find any fan stuff because I know there's so many weird things. I wanted to look at some of the weird things that players do. There's some pretty standard stuff like Russell Westbrook. He has a very strict routine that he goes through. When he was in Oklahoma, for example, he did the same stuff. He'd run into the same corner and yell, "Fans, clap with them." He'd do some of this under the basket. And then, people in the locker room said that you couldn't touch the thermostat. It had to be set exactly where Russ wanted it to.
Oh, wow.
Steph Curry has the same warm-up dribble routine that people just love to watch. So going aside from all of those, warm-up things, people have their warm-ups. There's some really, really strange ones. Like, for example, Jason Terry, he was part of the Dallas Mavericks championship team that beat the first year LeBron was in Miami. He would wear game shorts of the opposing team the night before every single game.
Where did he even get them?
He said, let me go down and see if I can find it, but he said he would, let's see, they were actual shorts. He would pester equipment managers and players to swap jerseys, and he'd get their shorts. He has these shorts of players like Gary Payton that he would get, and he would wear them before playing against him, and that was his way to hype himself up to play against these teams. He also had to, he's known for wearing a big headband and long socks. He said he had to do that. He played 2 games without them, and he went scoreless, and he's never done it again. Other ones, Tim Duncan, we talked about him being kind of an underrated all-time player. For every practice, he wears his shorts backwards. That was something he did it in a practice one time and didn't know and had a really good practice, and he just did it. And even now as an assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs, he wears his practice shorts on backwards.
That is awesome.
That's his thing. The Caron Butler had some that had to tell him to stop. he would chug half of a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew before games and then finish the rest at halftime. And he
Oh my
was told to
goodness.
stop doing that. And then he also admitted to chewing 15 to 20 straws a game. And he would just get a ton of straws from places like McDonald's and Burger King, and he'd just sit there and chew through them on the bench.
Where would he put him after? Just throw him on the ground or something?
Yeah, he'd probably give them to a guy to throw them away, but that's just some weird stuff that some of these players do.
That is weird. Those are weirder than my cat.
Look at that.
Wait, I'm trying to let you see the number because it's not James Harden.
Is it 00? Is that what I saw?
Is. Yeah.
Who wore 00? Did anyone? Or is it just the generic at jersey?
Yeah,
I think Westbrook 0 now. I can't think. Yeah. T-Mac wore 1. Can't think of other Rockets players from back in the day.
When Melo played with us, I think he wore 0, right?
Did he? Because I know his number is 7, but maybe he wore a different number with the Rockets.
He wore 7. But I felt like he wore 0. Somebody wore 0.
I don't know. All right, backstage, do we have any comments if anyone got some weird as fan stuff that they do?
She does. She has a
Rockets jersey. So Elizabeth's got her jersey. She's got her H-Town song that she plays. Did we get any?
They're the exact same jersey.
I wear my underwear, the same pair since the last Rockets championship, never washed.
It's real gross, man.
That's something I've heard of, a lot. That's the lucky underwear, the lucky socks. You never wash your game day socks.
Maybe wash the underwear. We haven't won since then. So.
Maybe that's why they haven't won. You got to wash the underwear. Those Rockets, the Hakeem championship teams, very, very cool all-time teams. A lot of the.
Do you get on Twitter at all?
I don't.
Okay, so Mad Max, what's his name? Vernon, is that it? Hunter Mighty King. He is the funniest on Twitter. For baseball, I have to sit in the same spot in my living room. I have a TV preference at my house for sure.
Got to be in the right spot.
Yeah, but Mad Max. Oh, okay, hold on. I've drank out of the same mug on game day for 20 years.
Wow.
Does it work?
Well, Buckeyes, if it's football, they've had a good football team for a long time, so that's not one that I would stop anytime soon. They've had a pretty decent basketball team some years too, Ohio Buckeyes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who their last good NBA prospect was. We can maybe do some college fun facts at some point. Most of them, you get them out of Kentucky and Duke, but football, you have to rub a logo for good luck, like on a jersey or a sticker. Probably the logo of the team.
Yeah. Interesting.
I know my cousin, for every Seahawks game, he locks himself in a room and no one's allowed to talk to him until the game is over.
That sounds awesome because I can't get people to stop talking to me during the game.
You need to start doing that.
I feel like I'm so mean to people because I am mean in playoffs. I know that. I'm just a mean person around. I get my feelings hurt and I get mean and but yeah, my daughter was talking to me earlier and I was like, and looking at the camera like, and then I finally told her, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to hold a full conversation right now. I need you to just wait just till halftime. Just give me a second. But yeah, everybody wants to talk during the games.
Yeah. I mean, some people just get really intense.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's, fans definitely play a role in these playoffs. The intensity seems to be the same, but there's been some times like the Toronto Raptors game-winning shot where you can hear like all of the players' wives in the back, and that's like all you can hear. It's just such an interesting change.
I hope that after this is all over with, they come out with some like behind the scenes documentary about the bubble life and everything. That they have the families just showed up. So they actually have a school for the kids to do their
Mhm.
their work and everything online. I thought that was
Yeah,
really cool.
very cool. And there are some players doing some vlogs. JaVale McGee has one. Matisse Thybulle, the last bubble. I think it needs to be done. This is such
Yeah.
and I know other sports followed suit, but NBA kind of is spearheaded this COVID-19 effort.
Hmm.
And this could be a once in a lifetime sports occurrence. So it
Right.
100% needs at least a ESPN 30 for 30 or
Yeah.
a GCSN 45 for 45 or
Let's do
something
it.
in the
I
future.
followed the Bubble Life on Twitter, and they have so many great stories.
Team Hunter checking in.
You know what? I don't
Yes,
have any.
sir.
I don't have any. Oh, how's that MVP going, Elizabeth? Hey, they haven't announced MVP yet. Okay, so it's still going the same as it was last week.
Yeah, well, we will see the fate of the Houston Rockets next week. No matter how many games they go to, they should be done around then. And we'll be able to talk some conference finals, get into some more basketball history, and keep watching the Game Changer Sports Network timeline. We're going to start putting our questions up there so you guys can come ready for the show. We can have some great discussion. It's going to be great. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Thanks for joining us.
And after this, they're doing an interview. Do you know who they're
Is that
interviewing?
today?
Yeah.
Is it Nick Eubanks? Is he interviewing a boxing guy?
Yeah, a boxing guy. I'm not.
Well, Nick is very cool, and whoever he's interviewing is also very cool as well. So
Jake
Shields. Let's get all right. Stick around for a nice Jake Shields interview, you guys.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.